What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I'm going to showcase one of the most tragic Pokemon in Pokemon Go, Galarian Corsola. In my opinion, what makes this Pokemon so tragic is how hard it was to build compared to how useless it is right now. It seems like no one is using Galarian Corsola. There's a lot of normal types, a lot of dark types in the meta as well, but I think this Pokemon still has a little bit of play. I spent so much time building and working on getting this Pokemon, so I want to put it to use. Let's see what it can do today in the Go Battle League. Alright, let's get into the first game and prove the haters wrong. Corsola still has some play, right? Into a Lapras, honestly not the worst lead matchup imaginable. We do have Power Gem, which is super effective into the ice typing of Lapras, but man, these side waves are doing so much faster pressure to us here. We can see that they are doing 2 damage per turn, which means we have taken about as much damage as fast pressure here as they have with our Astonishes. We can reach a Power Gem though, which is super effective into the Lapras. Do we get a shield, or do they let it go? They do shield the first charge move up, which is a very interesting play. I'm hoping right now they don't Ice Beam us. If they do Ice Beam, they might knock us out, but I think I do just barely survive a Sparkling Aria, which is what they end up throwing. We survive, we get the Power Gem off, and this is either going to maybe knock out or probably draw a shield, or maybe just put them pretty low. Our opponent, yeah, they no shield, so it doesn't quite knock out, but it is going to be able to put them deep into the red, into a nice farm down range for our Shadow Jumpluff. Our opponent at this point has shown an Ice-type Pokemon in the lead. I'm hoping this is their best Jumpluff answer, or maybe if they have another one, it's like a Shadow Drapion in the backline, that up energy I can have a lot of play into. Sparkling will get a shield from us. I guess they either don't have Ice Beam, or maybe they go for a bait there, but they don't reach a second charge attack. Oh man, unfortunately, a Corviknight in the backline, and a Claydol in the back. Once again, not a great matchup here for our Shadow Primate, but I think what we can do is maybe start spamming out these Rage Fists. If our opponent is not careful, this Pokemon can just start spiraling out of control. Shadow Primate's biggest thing is ramping up its attack stat. In comes our second Rage Fist, already reached, and while these Mudslaps are adding up against us, we are so spammy here. I think I can knock out this Claydol. I'm going to be forced into a shield. I know at this point, the only chance I have to win is by going for another Rage Fist here against this Claydol, throwing a move right before the next Mudslap will register, but then potentially outpacing this Corviknight to a charge move and knocking them out with a Rage Fist that's at +2 damage, as well as potentially an Acrobatics from our Shadow Jumpluff. Rage Fist is going to be reached. It will do a lot of damage, but I don't think it's quite enough here to one-shot. Yeah, not even close to a one-shot, but I mean, this might put them into range where Acrobatics could knock them out here. In comes the charge move. It's not quite enough to knock out, but man, they're pretty low. Maybe in Fairy Wind downrange, or maybe I could just outpace to an Aerial Ace at this point. It's going to be really close. Our opponent is using Corviknight, right? They're resisting our damage, but we can Fairy Wind them down there. GG to our opponent. That is why Corviknight is such a fraudulent Pokemon. Our next game is a Shadow Kanto Marowak in the lead. Very neutral matchup here. Astonish and Mudslap obviously doing very similar damage to each other, but the best thing about this is we are a bulkier Pokemon, whereas they are a much squishier Pokemon, so they will be inclined to shield before I will. Nightshade going to be thrown here on CMP with the Bone Club. I know I can survive this move, and I also know that our opponent can if they want to, but it will do a lot of damage, put this Marowak deep into the red, and I still have some energy on my Galarian Corsola. In comes the Nightshade. Our opponent will opt to no-shield the attack, and I'm going to bank a Nightshade, come in, Shadow Prime up, and get a full farm down before they can do anything about it. In comes a Malamar, a Shadow Malamar, actually. I probably should have gone for close combat, or at least baited it here, because our opponent will likely no-shield this Rage Fist. In comes the charge move. It does put them below half HP, and these sideways are just glitching out with the amount of damage they're doing right now. We are almost completely farmed down just in like 5 or 6 Karate Chops of energy. That is crazy here. They threw a charge move against us. They did not have to do that. Maybe they thought that I got knocked out by that sidewave, and they thought that I might come back in with that Corsola. But that is fantastic news for us here. Lapras in the backline is now not even a problem. We're able to go for an Acrobatics here, potentially go for 2 charge moves to knock them out. We have that Nightshade in the back as well. I think at this point, this game is going to be ours. Even if they didn't throw that charge move into our Corsola or our Primate, there might have still been a chance for us, but GG to our opponent, I guess. Our next game, a Shadow Kanto Marowak. Once again, this is one of those matchups that we see time and time again. This Pokemon is going to be very common in the Go Battle League because of its prowess in countering a lot of the poison types. With that said, we were able to survive this Bone Club, go for a Nightshade. Once again, we saw this matchup in the previous game. We're able to potentially get a shield from them here if they want to preserve HP, which they actually do. And now if they throw on bad timing, there is a chance that I can survive. And by bad timing, I don't mean like bad move timing, but if they CMP us, they can actually potentially threaten a shield from us here. But if they let us get that final sneak by throwing one before my Nightshade, then I can land this move and get both their shield and a massive amount of damage into the K-Whack. We're going to get a huge farm down with our Shadow Jumpluff here. What is in the backline? It's going to be a Clodsire, not exactly the best Pokemon to see, but I do go for the Acrobatics. It's going to do a lot of damage into them, and we have Ice Punch on our Shadow Primate that might be able to knock them out after I got all that chip damage into them. I'm hoping they're on Stone Edge. If they have Sludge Bomb, then they're a little bit spammier. They have a neutral charge move that can do a lot of damage a lot quicker than Earthquake. It's Sludge Bomb, which is not exactly what we want to see, but because we are still so spammy here, we can go for an Ice Punch. Our opponent overfarming just a bit too much. They might not have realized Ice Punch is an option. I can knock him out here, and now a Cradilly in the backline, one of the best things I could see. I need to start ramping up, winning this game with our Shadow Primeape. Rachis comes through. It doesn't do too much damage here, but it doesn't matter. I'm such a spammy Pokemon, able to win that game there. GG to our opponent. Next matchup is a Gastrodon in the lead. Another Mudsapper. It's not quite a Marowak lead, but it is going to be able to put in a lot of work against us. I know that Earth Power is going to do a lot of neutral damage into our Corsola, but they are not going to be able to win the Zero Shield matchup because we have a lot more neutral damage into them. They can go for Body Slam as well as an Earth Power against us before we are able to get to 2 Nightshades, but that is not going to be enough to knock us out. Let's see what our opponent wants to do, though. Do they try to make a catch? Do they try to CMP us on a Body Slam? Which it looks like that is the play they try to make. This is an interesting play by our opponent here. I'm a little bit worried that once this Gastrodon is out of the way, our Shadow Jumpluff might have a little bit less play. We know that Gastrodon, one of its worst possible matchups is going to be that Jumpluff here. We get that shield advantage, we swap into our Shadow Primeape, and we are met by a Shadow Annihilate. And while this is not the worst case scenario right now, we just have to think about what we just saw. There's a Gastrodon in the lead. There's a Shadow Annihilate right here. Where's my Jumpluff going to go? There is almost certainly a hard answer to Jumpluff in the back line, so I'm going to shield up my Shadow Primeape, try to keep some sort of HP on it, just in case it's like a Basti or something that we can get some damage into, but they still have this Gastrodon alive, which is able to get a lot of Mudsap damage into us. What is in the back? Of course, it's a Basti. We are not winning this game. We have no damage against them with our Shadow Jumpluff, so they are able to survive that. I guess they call that I don't have close combat there, too. That is crazy. I guess GG there to our opponent. All right, next game, we're going to see a Guzzlord in the lead. Another pretty tricky lead, but we have our Shadow Primeape safe swap, and we are met by a Talonflame. This is not the best spot to be in here, but I think there is a chance for us to play this out. Rachis is going to get a nice 2-shot into this Pokemon, and our Karate Chops as well as our Rachis will put them into potentially an Astonish downrange for our Corsola. Rachis being reached, our opponent has to shield this up if they want to keep Switch, which I would assume they do want to do at this point, and now our Corsola is going to try to take all the damage that it can. They have Brave Bird that's going to do a lot of damage to us, but if they have Flame Charge and Fly, then I can at least survive the first charge move, maybe the second. I know now they've boosted their attack stat, but I think Corsola might be bulky enough here to survive the move. They do an interesting play where they boost their attack, and then they swap out to Guzzlord after boosting their attack, which I guess works out for us here, because I know at this point, I need to keep my Jumpluff on this Guzzlord. I need to keep my Corsola alive, potentially. This is going to be so awkward. We shield up a Crunch, which likely means they're on Crunch and Dragon Claw. Man, I could no-shield this move, but I have no idea what's in the backline. At this point, I think I need to keep some health on my Jumpluff, so we shield the attack, go for a full Fairy Wind down, and we do knock out the Guzzlord right before the next charge attack will be reached. We have a lot of energy. We go for this charge move here into the Talonflame. Our opponent might shield, they might let it go. Our opponent actually opts for the shield here, and in comes the Blastoise. We have Acrobatics ready to go. This is going to do a massive amount of damage into them, but what are they going to do? Are they going to throw a move immediately? Are they going to be able to call the move on our Corsola as well? No, they end up letting us throw this move into them, which might knock them out. It might not be enough, though, especially after the Nightshade nerf. I'm not quite sure. You know, if Nightshade wasn't nerfed, it would have knocked out. It doesn't really matter, though. They actually intentionally let us knock them out there. They're trying to get a farm down against us, but instead we just Astonish down before they can incinerate us all the way down to Fly. Our Jumpluff GG there to our opponent. Next game, that is a terrible lead if I've ever seen one. Shadow Primeape going to come in, try to do its best, but a Wigglytuff as well. All right, this game could not get much worse right now. I do have potentially a close combat here. They don't know I'm not on close combat, so they do shield up. We get that shield advantage, which might help us out depending on the backline. But man, even Jumpluff into Furret, while that's a good matchup for Jumpluff, it's not going to be a matchup where I come out with a ton of health. I think this game is going to be a very uphill battle. Icy Wind debuffs are going to do so much here to our Corsola as well. Power Gem will try to do something, but after that debuff, it's not going to be able to two-shot, at least not consistently. And our opponent is playing this game out about as well as they need to, saying they're using a Wigglytuff. They just need to keep tapping the screen, go for his CMP on this Icy Wind. And I have to hope that I survive this, but I know there's no chance Corsola can live this move from this range. It knocks us out here, and now I'm going to take a lot of faster pressure on our Shadow Jumpluff. It's going to be a miracle if I even see the third Pokemon at this point. I have to go for the Aerial Ace before a Swift will be reached. I can't farm them down with Jumpluff. We're taking so much faster pressure here too, and they still have that Furret in the back. I have no idea what the final Pokemon is. I guess they show us at least. It's going to be a Jellicent, a Pokemon that, I mean, it's not a bad matchup, I guess, for Jumpluff, but it's not necessarily a hard counter Pokemon that I can just beat and destroy and also have a lot of health and energy for it in the back line. I'm going to play it out for a second here just to see, I guess. Our opponent goes for the Surf Bait. Honestly, a very smart play, because at this point they can reach 2 Surfs here pretty easily and either get our second shield or put us easily into range where these Sucker Punches will knock us out. Surf puts us very low. Our opponent at this point, they have us. I don't even know why I'm playing this one out. I should really top left this game. I guess it doesn't matter at this point. Ace is going to come through. I guess I really just wanted to knock out that Jealous and GG there to our opponent. All right, next game here, a much better lead matchup. Shadow Dusknoir, a Pokemon that does have a lot of damage with both Astonish and Shadow Punch. But because we're able to be so bulky here and our Astonishes are actually doing more damage to them than they're doing to us, I can win the Zero Shield matchup pretty easily. Go for a Nightshade. If they shield us up as well, I'm pretty fine with that. Our Astonishes have done so much to their HP at this point that I can probably Astonish them into a range where we can Fairy Wind them down and then use the energy in the backline. Our opponent does opt to shield, which is fine by me. I can take a Shadow Punch any day of the week on our Shadow Jumpluff. In comes a move. This will do about a quarter of our HP here, but we can farm down, or if they swap into a Claydol, I guess we can just stay and go for these acrobatics here and start putting in a lot of work into this ground-type Pokemon. I'm pretty happy not to see this as well on my Shadow Primeape, knowing that we would take a lot of Mudslap damage here, but I am kind of worried about what they might have in the back. In comes another move here from this Claydol. It will be a Rock Tomb, though, so we survive it. We can go for an instant acrobatics and either knock them out or potentially get their final shield. Our opponent at this point is going to no-shield their Claydol, and we see their final Pokemon is a Shadow Primeape of their own. We have Raychist ready to go. This is going to draw their final shield almost certainly. If they don't, I farm down, and if they do shield, I can go for a Raychist here in just a second. I do have to watch for a catch, right? That is our win condition, but I can also just farm up to back-to-back Raychist at this point, which should be able to win us this game. Our opponent goes for the catch here, but I can actually just farm down the Ghost type, which is even better. We can then throw the Rage Fist here into the Primeape and win this game. In comes the charge move. This will knock out the Primeape. GG here to our opponent. Primeape putting in a lot of work there. Honestly, though, Shadow Jumpluff is what won us that game. All right, next matchup, Shadow Marowak once again in the lead. I guess this time at least it's a shiny Shadow, so it's a little bit more intriguing to look at, but it is still the same old matchup here. Mudslap doing a lot to us. Bone Clubs will spam out just a bit quicker than our Nightshades, but Astonish is doing a lot of damage to them as well, and Nightshade going to come through here in just a second. Bone Club does get thrown into us. I'm going to go for the Nightshade and see if our opponent wants to go for a shield, or if at this point they're going to play the lower shielding scenario. They do have to let that move through here, and now they're going to try to go for a CMP on this next charge attack. I think this Bone Club would be able to knock us out, but I'm kind of fine at this point going and letting this go, getting a farm down with our Shadow Primeape, and trying to use this energy in the backline. We lag a turn, we take a Mudslap that we shouldn't have taken here, which is not ideal. It means now when this Toxapex comes in, which is also not ideal for us to see, we're in a much more precarious position where we're a lot closer to getting fast move farm down than I'd like to be. With that said, I can try our best here to spam out these Rage Fists. If I can knock out this Toxapex before they can get onto my Jumpluff, there might still be a bit of a chance to win this. These Karate Chops are starting to add up here, but man, our health is so low. I have to shield this up if I want any chance of getting another move off. Our opponent goes for the Brine. It will end up... Oh, they catch a move on their Furret as well. Fantastic call by them. I mean, I am a very boosted Primeape, though. These Karate Chops are going to add up against their HP, but I am able to store a Rage Fist. I thought maybe I wouldn't be able to. There is still a sliver of a chance we can win this game. What I have to do at this point is get to enough energy to knock out both this Furret and have energy for that Toxapex in the back. In comes the Aerialist. This will be able to knock them out here if they do let it go. I'd be surprised at this point if they let it go, because they do need to keep some HP and get a lot more damage onto my Jumpluff. They need to maybe draw a shield as well. Toxapex at this point does have one charge move, but they're not quite at back-to-back. Well, maybe they are. I honestly don't remember at this point. But either way, I know my win condition is very clear. I have to just get to back-to-back charge moves, throw one to knock out this Furret, and another one to knock out that Toxapex. In comes our charge move here. Ace is going to get the knockout if they do let this move through. I have a second Aerial Ace loaded, but I, at this point, am kind of just wondering, are they even in range where this will knock this out? Not sure it's enough. Aerial Ace being thrown, our opponent is going to no-shield, and they survive, which means now they can farm us all the way down there. Very close matchup, but GG to our opponent. All right, next game, Corsola into Tinkaton. Not the worst-case scenario here. We know Tinkaton is not going to be the most spammy Pokemon in the game, and they actually instantly swap out to a Golisopod. Not the worst-case scenario once again, right? Because we have a super effective charge move to throw against them. We can either go Acrobatics and easily one-shot them, or Aerial Ace and put them into a nice farm-down range. If I can keep Switch Advantage at this point, I'm going to be in a very good spot. And I know while they will land 2 Exorcists against us, if they want to flip Switch, they have to go down 2 shields. If they want to go down 2 shields, they can also be my guess to do that. Shadow Primeape is not that bad into Tinkaton. We can go for the Ace. It doesn't quite knock out, but we get the Fairy Wind down before another charge move will be thrown. We have a lot of energy on our Shadow Jumpluff, and while Acrobatics will be resisted by this Tinkaton, it's still going to add up over time, right? Fairy Wind and Aerialist and Acrobatics here, all going to add up to put them to about half HP. Tinkaton taking this next charge move, are they going to shield? There's no way, right? There's no reason to ever shield a Jumpluff as a Tinkaton, and now our Corsola is going to come in and try its very best to absorb all the damage it can, and go for a Nightshade here in just a second. Earth being thrown, it does do about half of our HP, but we are able to survive the next one if they do end up throwing it. I'm going to go for a Nightshade, but not before they're able to reach yet another move against our Corsola. We can survive this attack, especially if it's a Bulldoze, I guess. Now we can go for a Nightshade here. Can't quite get the full farm done. I tried to go for it, but our opponent is just a little bit too bulky. Nightshade comes through. Do we see a shield or a knockout against this Pokemon? We see a no shield by them, and a Jellicent is in the back, which, while a fighting type Pokemon normally would not be the best case scenario into a Jellicent, I can get a shield advantage with this Nightshade and start outpacing with these Rage Fists. Our opponent also throws on slightly suboptimal timing, giving us a free Karate Chop, which I don't think that's even going to matter here. We're so spamming in the first place, we'd outpace anyway, but it definitely does not hurt. Rage Fist number 1 being thrown, almost certainly going to see a no shield here. It's going to do the least amount of damage that Primeape could do, saying every single one after the fact is going to have an attack boost. We do see the no shield and likely a shield on this next move. I think at this point I can just easily outpace to this next Karate Chop, or this next Rage Fist rather, knock out this Jellicent, and we should be able to take the win in this match. Primeape just kind of popping off here, but the rest of our team put in a lot of work as well. GG to our opponent. Alright, next game, Corsola into Shadow Drapion. Alright, well, this is a pick that we haven't seen much yet today. It's also one of the worst Pokemon my team can see. With that said, I think maybe playing out the Zero Shield scenario with our Galarian Corsola could be a good play. I'm going to try our best, but I have no idea what's going to happen. Crunch is going to come through, do a lot of damage. They catch on their Diggersby? Okay, well, this is going from bad to worse at this point. I'm not quite sure how we can win this game. Maybe they're like triple weak to our Shadow Primeape. Maybe there's a chance for us, but man, they made a good play there. Fire Punch coming through. It's going to put us about to half HP, but we can't survive long enough to get to do Acrobatics, but I'm still at this point wondering how I'm going to take out that Shadow Drapion, let alone the final Pokemon, whatever they have in the back. Acrobatics does put them pretty low, but not into range where Aerialist is enough to knock out. Power Gem, it did literally no chip damage into this Diggersby. I overfarmed just a little bit here right before their next charge move. Acrobatics forced to be thrown to knock this Pokemon out, and it will get the KO against Diggersby. But this Drapion, once again, it comes in here. It is still so healthy. They can Poison Sting us down, and our Shadow Primeape is just asking itself, where is it going to go in this game? I swap into Corsola, drain energy from them. They're forced into going for a Crunch if they want to knock us out. And, you know, if they are, for some reason, triple weak to Shadow Primeape, there is still a chance for us. We're able to come in here, Karate Chop down. We'll probably have to shield once to be able to do it, but this is still so incredibly awkward. Our opponent goes for a charge move here. It will be an Aqua Tail. What is in the back? Is there any chance for us right now? It's an Azumarill, very innovative team by our opponent here. It's the Azu Drape Core. You know, all things considered, there are worse matchups to be in, right? Azu, well, it is going to be able to take our charges pretty well here. It's a pretty slow Pokemon. There's a chance if I can maybe make a catch, or maybe they try to make a catch and I call when they swap out or something, like maybe I can win this game. It's probably, I'm coping quite a bit here, but you know, Shadow Primeape, it can find a way. And comes our next Rage Fist, it will be able to potentially draw a shield from them. We are boosting our attack stat up so much at this point. Rage Fist is finally going to draw a shield. Our opponent going to try to call, then I'm going to throw the move right then. They have an Ice Beam loaded right now. I am one away from a Rage Fist. I either need to make a catch or call that they're going to try to call my catch. I go for the move, but our opponent, they wait, they see that I'm in a Karate Chop, and they throw the charge move. There is still a sliver of a chance I can reach an Aerial on our Shadow Jumpluff. These bubbles, though, they might farm us down. Ah, man, somehow almost came back, but then didn't. That's honestly the worst case scenario. GG to our opponent. All right, Mandibuzz. This is also pretty tricky to deal with, but I think a lot easier than Shadow Drapion, right? Mandibuzz is well known for its bulk. It's not well known for its offensive prowess, which means we should be able to survive a foul play, maybe even 2 in the Zero Shield matchup. Power Gem comes through, it's super effective, and Astonish, despite being resisted, is doing a decent chunk of fast food pressure. I can go for a Power Gem here in just a second if our opponent does let us. They do go for a charge on CMP, but Corsola is able to actually win that, and at this point I'm pretty content with this. I can go for the Zero Shield matchup. Power Gem puts them deep into the red, and I think I can Karate Chop this down with our Shadow Primeape. In comes the foul play. Yeah, it's not going to knock us out here. Corsola's still able to survive. They come in with a Jellicent of all things, a Pokemon that, in my opinion, is not necessarily a good Shadow Primeape counter. Although they swapped at the same time I did, I don't have a huge energy lead here like I'd like, But because I am still able to start shielding up these moves, spamming out charge moves, and maybe even going for a catch later on this game, this is not the worst case scenario. Alright, Prime going for a Rachis. This will likely draw a shield from this Jellicent, but if they're really confident, I guess, in their backline matchup, maybe they'll let it go. Honestly, really surprised they let that move through there, especially saying it's a Claydol in the backline. This Pokemon by no means wants to take a Rage Fist, and I think I can even get to a second one if they end up going and not making a catch. I get the next Rage Fist here. I guess I throw an alignment. I was trying to see the animation come through, but it was a little bit late. Either way, we're able to get the final shield here from Claydol, and I think we're in a good spot, but it could still be just a little bit awkward. I know that Ice Beam would do a lot of damage to us here, and I know this Claydol has so much energy at this point. We're also at a point where I have been debuffed with my attack stat. I try to make a catch, but I also clear my debuff by swapping out. I'm able now to farm this Mana Buzz down with my Shadow Jump Bluff, and we're in a spot here where I think we're still in a little bit of a tricky position. I need to call another Rock Tomb. If they Ice Beam, we lose, but if they Rock Tomb, they can't Mud Shot us down at this point, or Mud Slap, that is, which means I think we should be able to go for these Acrobatics. Maybe 2 Acrobatics, or maybe an Acro plus an Ace should be enough. I think the Ace would be enough, but I know at this point I can reach the Acro. Just play it safe, go for this Charge Move. 2 Ice Beam no shield potentials were able to win this game. If they did go for an Ice Beam one of those 2 times, I would have lost, but the Rock Tomb just a bit too tempting, able to win us this game. Next game here, a very neutral matchup, Galarian Corsola into a Shadow Feraligatr. This matchup you might expect to be pretty bad for the Corsola, mainly because you're taking a lot of super effective Fast Move Pressure, but our Fast Move Pressure is actually doing more to them than we're taking, and we can go for Nightshade here in just a second. I can survive a Hydro Cannon pretty easily, and then go for a shield advantage with our Charge Move. If our opponent shields this up, then I might even get to a second Nightshade, forcing even more energy from the Shadow Gator, which might set us up even better for the endgame matchup. Our opponent does not want to risk a Shadow Claw down. They do throw a charge move. I think I would have reached a Nightshade here, so they probably were forced into that attack. And now my Shadow Primeape is going to come in and try its best to get a full far down against the Shadow Gator. Unfortunately for us, we do get denied, which is not ideal. We're going to take an extra Shadow Claw of damage, which might end up mattering. I guess we'll see here. We get that full farm down against the Shadow Gator. In the backline, another water type. Very fun stuff here. 2 water types on the same team. I guess, there's not a lot that really beats both of those Pokemon, but it is still kind of annoying to see. All right, well, we have 2 Rachis, though, already ready to be thrown into this Azoom. Are we able to get a shield here with one of them? No, they do realize at this point that the one you want to shield is going to be the 3rd Rachis, not the 2nd, not the 1st, because every time you throw that, you ramp up your attack one more stage. Ice Beam is going to be thrown into us here. I'm going to try to ramp up our attack even more. I have back-to-back Rachis right now. I'm not sure if I survive this next bubble. If they shield this move up, I might be in a bit of trouble, but they do shield, but I do survive. This means now I am going to be able to have a one-on-one in the backline. They've had 2 water types so far. Do they have a grass type answer? No, they have a Furret. They are just so weak to like a superior lead. It's not even funny, but we are still in a good spot here. I think that our Shadow Jump Bluff in the Zero Shield matchup should be able to knock out both this Furret. Well, I guess that's all it has to do. It has to just reach 2 charge attacks and win this game. In comes the Swift here. I know I can take 2. Shadow Jump Bluff is bulky enough to survive these fast moves as well as the charge move. In comes the next Swift, but we have the Acrobatics on CMP. We can survive this easily. Shadow Jump Bluff able to reach a charge move and knock out this Furret. Acro being thrown for it, no shields to its name, goes down, GG to our opponent. All right, next game, Corsola in the lead into a Grumpig. Interesting stuff. I saw this Pokemon a lot in the last week in the Retro Cup. I guess people trying it out once again in the Open Great League here. Super effective Ghost type damage into this Pokemon, and for some reason they're staying in. But that said, they do have super effective Shadow Ball to throw right back at us here, but I can't survive the move, go for a Nightshade, and either knock them out or put them extremely low, or rather get the shield from this Pokemon. They do let it go, so we get nearly a full charge move in the backline. They come in with a Greninja to try to farm us down. I don't want to give them so much energy. I have 2 Pokemon in the back, good enough into Greninja that I don't think giving that 100 energy would be a good idea. Comes their own Primeape. This is looking pretty good for us. It's a non-shadow. In fact, I think that since we have enough HP remaining on our own Primeape, we might be able to survive long enough here, no shield this next Rachis from them, and then reach another Rachis getting their second shield. Rachis nearly knocked us out there. Not quite enough, though. We have energy left over on our Corsola, as well as potentially our Shadow Jump Bluff, which can sweep this endgame. If they have Ice Punch, though, on this Primeape, that could be bad. They got 3 Karate Chops for my 1 Astonish. Love to see that. Thank you so much, Pokemon Go Battle League. Nightshade comes through. It doesn't quite knock them out here, but our Shadow Jump Bluff can shield this move up, go for a full farm down, and then launch charge moves into that Greninja. Rachis will be thrown as a last-ditch effort, but it's not going to be enough. Greninja not able to knock out the Jump Bluff, and we can game. All right, next matchup is a Shadow Jumpluff in the lead. Very good lead matchup here for Corsola. I know that Power Gem is super effective, but I also know that recently they did buff Jumpluff, right? These acrobatics are going to come through and they're going to hit very hard against us, which means that it is going to put us actually deep into the yellow with their first charge move. I think I'm going to go for a Nightshade bait. It seems like at this point I can start outpacing a little bit more if I do get this move off. Our opponent actually instantly swaps out after that charge move, though, which means now this Golisopod into our Shadow Jumpluff will be played out. In comes the first charge move. We've seen this matchup so many times in the Go Battle League. We just have to go for the no shield on the first two charge moves, build up as much energy as we can, and then go for an aerial ace to knock them out. While one ace is not going to be enough to knock them out from this health range, I think after the Fairy Wind damage, it should be enough to knock them out, at least in theory, unless they have like the highest rank Golisopod. Maybe there's a chance to survive. We'll have to see. Yeah, no, that does enough damage here. We can Fairy Wind down. We have a lot of energy on our Jumpluff. We can throw into either that Jumpluff of their own in the backline, or I guess into this Shadow for Alligator. This is a very scary Pokemon to see. We know Shadow for Alligator up energy can put in a lot of work, but Acrobatic's going to draw their shield, and now Shadow Primeape is going to come in and try to put in some work. We make a catch as well on the Aerial Ace. At this point, I think our Shadow Primeape should be able to close out this endgame, and our Corsola still has energy loaded. We can go for a Nightshade here in just a second. I don't necessarily want to knock this out, because if they get enough energy on that for Alligator, this could be kind of bad. So I'm going to go for an Undercharge and try to force them to throw energy against us. They do throw energy against us here, so now I can farm them all the way down with our Shadow Primeape and use energy and shield advantage to win this game. They actually make an undercharge of their own, but it's not going to matter. They get just a single Shadow Claw for their effort, and we're able to take the win in that game. Nice little 4-1 set here to end off the day. And I mean, Galarian Corsola, while it isn't necessarily an amazing pick right now, it does have a lot of play still. I feel like people might be completely disregarding this Pokemon as an option. It's still very bulky, it has good coverage, and Nightshade, while it did get a damage decrease, is still a fantastic move. So if you built a Galarian Corsola, maybe give it a go. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the battles and want to see more content like this on the channel, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.